to see. You can't.
There you are at long last. Where have you been?
Well, we had a spot of trouble. Where is everybody?
Captain Manrick's gone. Couldn't wait any longer. He's gone on to Percy Street with the rest of the party. He left me here to tell you to follow on as soon as possible.
Yeah, hey, Jonesy, how long have I got to stick with my finger stuck in this hole?
Until the exercise is over.
That gas bag looks a wee bit empty to me.
Blimey, Joe, we're half blue with some gas. Don't you take your finger out that hole. Remember that little Belgian boy?
Dutch boy, you silly old mole.
There's no call for you to be nasty. Here, what we're going to do, we run out of a lot of gas there, you know.
Wait a minute, Jonesy. I've got an idea. Why don't we take some gas from the vicar's gas fire?
How are you going to do that?
You'll see. Wait a minute.
Captain ran into his nut if we were late again. It's all your fault, Joe.
Yeah, my fault. I like that. If it hadn't been for your flipping bayonet, none of this would ever have happened.
Oh, that job's so silly. All right.
Connect that up enough.
Yeah, all right.
I'll turn on the fire.
Yeah, all right.
Got it?
Yeah. Good old Jock. What we English would do without the brains of the Scots, eh? Go on, turn it on.
Right on.
May I ask what you're doing here?
Me? I'm looking out of the window, sir.
Well, why have you got that hose attached to my gas fire?
Well, you see, it's like this. Aye. You see your big gas bag yonder?
Yes.
Well, we didn't know what to do with it, so we thought it would just fill up your gas fire.
Most charitable, my friend. Most charitable.
Well.
Yes, that sounds a rather good idea, Walker. The only thing is that somebody would have to push the log, and I don't think any of us could stay underwater for that length of time.
There's someone in a diving suit to push the log.
Diving suit? Don't be absurd. Who's got a diving suit?
I've got a diving suit.
You have? How did you come by that?
It happened when I was in the South Seas with a friend of mine, Wally Stewart. We were diving for pearls. Well, one day he was down below doing the job and I was up on deck with the native boys working the pumps. And suddenly I felt 4 pulls on his lifeline. That means haul me up. I knew there was trouble. So I looked down and see out there's as clear as crystal. And there was Wally fighting for his life with a giant squid. I never hesitated. I dived down and down into the depths, and I plunged my knife between those 2 hideous eyes. My lungs were bursting, a red mist before my eyes. The sea was black with the inky liquid from the squid. I gave the signal, and I quickly pulled Wally up. When we got him on deck, I unscrewed his helmet, and then I realized they'd pulled him up too quickly. He was dying from the dreaded bend. I cradled him in my arms, and he gazed up at me and said, "Joe, look after my poor old mother. See that she gets all my property." Well, all he had was his diving suit, and it was no use to her, so I gave her 10 bob and kept it. Every time after that, whenever I went down in that diving helmet, I could hear poor Wally's voice crying.
So, we take it you have a diving suit.
Why don't you pop down and see how he's getting on?
All right. Hold on. Did you lock and bar the door to the rock when he come up?
No. I left it open, nothing.
Oh, then. Wild horses wouldn't have dragged me down there before dawn.
Why not, Mr. Frazer?
Sit down, son, I'll tell you. It's because of something that happened to my old school friend, Wally Regan. He was keeper of the light on the fair Loch Rock. Wild, lonely, storm-racked cliff it is, I tell ye. And many a tall ship has gone to its cold, watery grave, pounding on those granite boulders. One night, it was just such a night as this, when the wind was wailing mournfully in the rigging.
Mr. Frazer, lighthouses don't have rigging.
This one did. Wally started down the stairs to bring up a new wick for the lamp. Near the bottom, something made him stop. Below in the gloom, you could hear a low, painful moan and a slithering. Something was moving in the dark. Wally started back upstairs. 20 steps up, he stopped and turned. He could see nothing. But the dark was darker, and the moan was moaning louder, and the slithering was coming nearer and nearer and nearer. Wally didn't hesitate. He scrambled up the stairs. Up and up he went, higher and higher, till his lungs were gasping and his heart was thumping out of his body. He daren't stop, because he knew that the thing was behind him. At last he reached the top, and with one desperate effort, he flung himself into the lamp house and threw himself in the door. Holding his breath, he listened. There it was, unmistakable. The thing was on the other side, trying to get in, trying to get in.
They can't get in!
Please, quiet the bitty, and listen.
What if someone would mind opening the door?
Listen! What's that sound?
It's the wind in the girders.
Aye, that's what you'd call it. But it's somebody like myself that's been spent his entire life at seas. Cry of ancient mariners lost in the deep. Hark! There it is again. Can you not hear the tormented cries for help? I did that speech at the Drama Society's production of Frazer. That was the best thing, innit?
I'm very glad we didn't go to see it.
The water's getting higher and higher.
Don't you think it'd be a good idea if we didn't talk so much? And then we might save the air a bit.
You be quiet, Godfrey. If it hadn't been for you, we wouldn't have been in this mess in the first place.
We're entombed. Entombed. I mind the time when I was a wee bit laddie on the lone Isle of Barra. A submarine got sunk in Castle Bay, and 7 brave men were trapped in it. The water got higher and higher and higher until it got up to their necks, and then terrible way to die.
Yes, come in. What is it, Frazer?
Captain Manrick, sir. I'll come straight to the point. During the period we've been together, you've wasted far too many hours of our precious time, and tonight's lecture was the last straw.
Now look here, Frazer.
Let me finish. I've made some careful notes of it all, and if you'll just hold on a wee, I'll give you 1 or 2 items that might interest you. On November the 6th, 1940, you wasted 3 hours giving us a lecture on why the Germans don't play cricket. On January 28th, 1941, you gave us a lecture telling us how Hitler, when he's in a rage, bites the carpet.
It's a well-known fact that he does.
Maybe, but you then proceeded to waste 2 hours working out a plan on how to send him a poisoned hearthrug. According to my notes, it comes to a total of 438 hours wasted on useless blather. Well, that's how I feel. and I had to come in and tell you so to your face. No offence intended, you understand. That's all. Captain Mannering.
Yes?
I mind the time, many, many years ago, on the furthest point of the Western Isles, two brave lighthouse keepers were marooned. Their stair had collapsed, and they were cut off, just like us. Well, they were up there for 2 long months, and in the end, they decided there was only one way to get down.
And what was that?
To dismantle the lighthouse, brick by brick.
I don't think that's a very sensible suggestion, Frazer.
Well, maybe not, but you see, sir, don't forget, they'd been up there for so long that, well, they'd both gone quite mad. Did you hear what I said, Captain Mannering? Mad. Mad? Mad!
Mr. Manning was very complimentary to me, you know. He asked my advice. He went round to Mr. Godfrey's cottage on Saturday afternoon to tell him, but because Mr. Godfrey's 2 sisters are there, he thought the shock would be too much for him. Well, I agreed with him, of course. I said Godfrey should be completely alone when we tell him.
We?
Pardon?
When we tell him.
Yes, yes. He was very grateful, of course, for my advice, and he said he'd give us a couple of moments alone, and then he'd send out Mr. Godfrey with the tea.
Man, oh man. Have you not got the sense to see that Mannering has left you and me holding the baby?
No, that's not fair. It's because you and I are the most senior members of the platoon. He said it would be more tasty for us to tell him. Here, you will back me up, won't you?
Ah, all right. I'll manoeuvre the conversation round it for you.
That's right, you do that. Oh, hello, Mr. Godfrey. And what brings you out here?
Mr. Manning thought you might like a nice hot cup of tea, so I brought one out personally.
Oh, that's very nice. Well, we'll put it down on the seat, please. Now, listen, we've got to get this over and done with quickly. So start manoeuvring the conversation round.
Godfrey, son, Jones here's got some bad news for you. Well, how's that, eh? Well, my turn to patrol down to the end of the promenade.
Yeah, don't leave me, Jock.
Sure, not, man, oh man. The war comes first.
Don't you want a cup of tea?
No, I'll drink it when I get back. Well, cheerio then, lads, cheerio. You. Hello, operator. I want a trunk call to London, if you please. Aye, London. Hello. Is that Sir Charles?
Yes?
He? Sir Charles Renfrew McAllister?
Speaking.
My name's Frazer. James Frazer.
What the hell do you think you're doing ringing me up in the middle of the night?
It's quiet and peaceful. And it's cheaper.
What do you want?
Tell me, are you the minister in charge of building this new aerodrome at Warmington-on-Sea?
Oh, now look. If you're after a building contract, there's nothing doing.
Oh, no, it's not that.
Well, what do you want then?
I just want you to shift the aerodrome a wee bit.
Are you out of your mind?
Sir Charles, I was reading in the papers the other day about your recent knighthood, and it went on to say that you come from a very fine old Scottish family that can trace their origins way back to Robert the Bruce.
You haven't woken me up to discuss my ancestors.
No, I've woken me up to ask you this. Could you possibly be the laddie with the same name whose father kept a fish and chip shop in that grand old Isle of Barra? who was expelled from school for cheating, who got that bonny wee thing, Maisie Mackintosh, into trouble, and who got the sack from the draper's shop for getting his fingers caught in the till. That wouldn't be you, would it?
Certainly not.
Oh, that's all right then. In that case, you won't mind me giving the whole story to a certain society magazine, will ye? Good. It just so happens I have got their phone number right here in front of me. Charlie boy.
Take off that eye patch. I thought of that first.
But you can't have an eye patch with glasses.
I don't intend to have it. I want to look suspicious. I take the glasses off.
Why don't you wear this over the other eye? Then you'd look even more suspicious.
Now watch it, Frazer.
Is that apple, Sergeant?
Yes, of course it does. Of course it does.
Does it make a very big bang?
Well, it's not exactly a pea shooter, is it?
Bangs always give me a terrible headache. That's why I hate Guy Fawkes knife.
What's up?
Frazer. Well, I expect you've seen one of these before, eh?
Oh, I yes. Oh, I have that, sir. Why?
Well, to us it's just a very mysterious piece of machinery, but I'm sure it's like an old friend to you.
Yeah, tell us how it works, Mr. Frazer.
Well, now, let me see. I'm not exactly quite familiar with this particular model.
Well, one gun's very like another, isn't it? I mean, surely the principle's the same.
Oh, I dare say the principle's just the same.
Oh, for heaven's sake, show us how to shoot it, Frazer. Come on.
Yeah, come on, get cracking.
Ah, well, now, you see, it's not just as simple as it looks. Now, let me think. Aye. The bullets come out there. So they must go in somewhere back here.
Blimey, don't blind us with science, mate.
I thought you were supposed to be a chief petty officer.
How was that?
Oh, perhaps Frazer didn't have much to do with guns, possibly.
That's right, sir. That's right.
Well, what did you have to do with?
Oh, I did all sorts of things, sir.
Such as?
Well, mostly I was a cook.
A cook? We always thought you were something important in the Navy.
If you was at sea, would you not think eating was important?
But you said you fought at the Battle of Jutland.
I did not. I said I was at Jutland. Sailors are to eat, you know, even in battle. And when the shells are flying, it takes a man to stay below and make shepherd's pie.
You're very much of a man, you know, to having to do with boats. I've even felt queasy on the Serpentine.
Well, it's a great disappointment to us, but I suppose we'll work it out some way.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry if I've let you down.
No, that's all right, Frazer. You've not let us down.
If only Mr. Mannering had put a curse on him.
A curse? How can he put a curse on anybody?
I've seen it done, eh?
When?
Nigh on 50 years ago, when I was trading coral in the South Seas with a friend of mine.
Was that the one that got eaten by a squid?
No, son. This is a different friend. Jethro, his name was. One day, we were anchored off a wee island, about 20 miles west of Samoa. And Jethro told me that he'd heard that there was a ruined temple in the center of the island with a huge idol that had a ruby the size of a duck's egg set in its forehead. She was determined to get it. So as soon as it was dark, we rowed ashore, armed to the teeth, and set off through the jungle to find the temple. After about 2 hours hacking our way through the undergrowth, we came to a clearing. There was the temple, the ruined temple, covered with jungle creepers. The place was deserted. We crept inside, and there it was. A huge idol with a great ruby in its forehead. As the shafts of moonlight struck down through the holes in the roof, it burned like fire. Jethro gave a cry of triumph, jumped up on the idol, and hacked the ruby out of its forehead with his knife. All this time, I could feel eyes, horrible unseen eyes, staring at us. I could stand it no longer. I shouted, "Let's get out!" and we turned to go. And then we saw it. Barring our way in the doorway was the witch doctor. He gave a scream that turned my blood to ice. He shook a bunch of bones in Jethro's face, and he cursed him. After all these years, I can still hear that terrible curse. "Death!" he screamed. "Death! The ruby will bring you death! Death!"
Did the curse come true, Mr. Frazer?
My son is dead. He died. Last year, he was 86.
That's right. Uncle Arthur.
What is it, Frank?
Tell me a story.
Silly Frank, you're too old for that sort of thing, you know.
You used to tell me stories. Why have you changed?
Well, you see, you're grown up now.
Mum says you tell her stories. And they're always the same one.
Well, Frank, just go to sleep, will you, please?
What does that boy want, Wilson?
Well, you see, he wants me to tell him a story.
Can't help feeling that he's slightly retarded.
He's his mother, you see, so I mean, she really spoils him to death.
Yes, she's been a widow for too long. What that boy needs is the firm hand of a father.
Yes, I quite agree, sir. I wish I could find somebody.
Captain Mannering, did he ever hear the story of the old empty barn?
No.
Would he like to hear the story of the old empty barn?
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes, he might put us in a good mood before we go to sleep. Pay attention, everybody. Private Frazer is going to tell us the story of the old empty barn. Carry on, Frazer.
Right. Well, the story of the old empty barn. Well, there was nothing in it. Did he ever say there was nothing in it? Oh, for God's sake, don't like.
You know, Wilson, over the years that I've come to know the members of this platoon, I've grown quite fond of them. But I can't help feeling sometimes that I'm in charge of a bunch of idiots.
Good luck to you. Mr. Mannering.
Oh?
Warden wasn't right, was he, when he said the Nazis would walk straight through us?
Of course he wasn't right.
I know one thing, they're not walking straight through me.
Not me. I'll be beside you, Jonesy.
We'll all be beside you, Jonesy. We'll stick together, you can rely on that. Anybody who tries to take our homes or our freedom away from us, they'll find out what we can do. We'll fight. And we're not alone. There are thousands of us all over England.
And Scotland.
And Scotland. All over Great Britain, in fact. Men who will stand together when their country needs them.
Excuse me, sir, don't you think it might be a nice idea if we were to pay our tribute to them?
For once, Wilson, I agree with you. To Britain's Home Guard.
The Britain's Home Guard.